the issue of youth and youth empowerment and youth development is very central to the development of any nation, any community the world over. The youth of any society are the cream of that society, because it is the period of both physical and mental growth, physical and mental development, which has to be nurtured, which has to be coordinated, which has to be guided. So 90% of the responsibility of the leadership in any community is to ensure the younger generation, the younger people are brought on board and are brought closer to be guided. Most of what we always believe now is just the issue of empowerment, giving them different skills and trade, without really coordinating and guiding them to be self-reliant. If you teach any youth any particular trade and you have not given him the moral background to appreciate the value of the trade you've given him, he is not going to appreciate that value. That is why you find that even if you give them empowerment equipment, they will go and sell them at a giveaway price, and they go back to the same cycle of unemployment. So the most important aspect of youth empowerment, as we experience, as we implemented in the Kano State government while we're in office, is first of all the spiritual guidance. Any group of youth that we empowered, before we give them any trade, before we send them on an apprenticeship to acquire any skill, we camp them for 3-4 weeks, drilling them on the purpose of life, drilling them to appreciate their own value as human beings, drilling them to know their relationship with their Creator, so that when you give them the necessary skill or trade, and they are now self-reliant, they will be honest, they will be sincere, they will be modest in their own operations, and they even have the ability to manage the small resources without desperation. So what we have today is the responsibility of the leadership that has been thrown to the dogs. We always talk of giving them empowerment, but giving them the leadership to appreciate the value of society, and secondly, to encourage them to form various groups. What we did in our government for 8 years, we encouraged them to form different associations of different trades, and we attached them to different entrepreneurship, so that they continue to gain the experience of managing the resources, the little resources that they do have. And we also guided them to be patient enough. Time has gone for any youth to wait for government employment. If you take government employment for the last 50 years, the ministries have remained the same, the government agencies are the same, and therefore, but the populations are multiplying in tens and hundreds on the increase. So I believe the resources of a nation, most of which are geared towards physical infrastructure, a lot of it should be geared towards development of the youth, giving them quality education, giving them training, spiritual, and mental and physical development of the youth, so that they appreciate the fact that there is value in life. It's not just getting money through empowerment or skill, but the importance of helping one another, the importance of teamwork. This is what we require, and this will help in a very, very good way in developing the youth and challenging them. And we should also give them the opportunity to participate. I always cherish the statement of our late elder statesman, Emerson Nkano, who always said, while you need the wisdom of the old, you need the energy, the exuberance, the talent of the young. The two have to be blended together. I don't see them as a separate entity. It's a relay button, you see, and you cannot determine when you can cut off the chain. There has to be this relay button between the young and the old. And 90% of the responsibility of youth development lies on the older ones, so that they can bring them close, guide them, support them, and you will find that great majority of our youth are willing and determined to cooperate. All they require is the guidance of the old on carrying them along and showing them the way to pass. We have seen a lot of these examples while we are in government, and part of the benefit was we had a very peaceful community. Kano used to be very volatile, but through our societal orientation, we enlightened the youth the need for peace, the need for cooperating among themselves. The fact that a lot are not yet employed does not mean they should be taking the law into their hands. They should be unruly and creating all kinds of vices in the society. Another thing is encouraging various elder groups in our communities. We experimented this through the Hisba board. We established through our societal orientation council what we call guidance and counseling committees in various local governments comprising all the elders in the community. They became the watchdog, what today people refer to as community policing. By the time you allow the communities to take charge of overseeing the attitude of the youth in their communities, you find that there are checks and balances. But all this is ignored. The tendency of using force to enforce them, to force them to comply to law and order is not the issue. What is important is guiding them to appreciate the need to be peaceful, the need to acquire skills, the need to cooperate with one another, the need to have teamwork through this. And government has the responsibility in providing this guidance because most of the government business is to provide guidance to the society, and thereafter the society will take over the responsibility of guiding themselves and guiding the youth in particular. I think in this way, the youth will be more useful to themselves, the youth will be more responsible, and as we call them, the future leaders of tomorrow. They don't just wake up and become leaders. It has to begin from the youth period, and then you just find yourself emerging as a leader, so that they earn it, and if it is earned, it is respected and valued to the more, inshallah.